How you doing, man?
Oh man, just fired up. This time of year and it's been a chaotic football season to say the least. So,
Yeah, it really has. You and I have a mutual friend in Ryan Brown.
I don't claim him. I claim Dunaway and Lance and those guys, but Brownie no, just he's such a good dude. Like Ryan's been one of my favorite people. I used to listen to him and doing the JOX stuff, and I love the next round live stuff. So they're great dudes. So
Yeah, they really are. Well, hey, I appreciate you doing this.
you got it.
You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll just go ahead and start with the big question that everyone's asking around here. Can Alabama make the college football playoff?
Yeah, I mean they absolutely can because anytime I look at Jalen Milroe with a football in his hand, I'm thinking you have a chance. The problem is a lot of other teams look at Jalen Milroe right now when he's got the football in his hand and says we have a chance as well. So it's just been really inconsistent play from Milroe, and I would say inconsistent Alabama play calling because that's not inconsistent for Kalen DeBoer. This is what his offensive and his scheme has kind of looked like. But to see an Alabama team have their quarterback drop back 50 times in a game, it's just doesn't look like the Alabama we all kind of grew up and watching under Nick Saban and teams prior. So they don't have any room for error anymore. They have to basically win every single game and they have to look good doing it right now. But teams smell blood in the water and it's not going to be easy for them.
Mm. And that means they have to win at LSU, and you more than anyone knows how tough that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of fans around LSU, and they were worried about the game against Arkansas in Fayetteville, the game this upcoming weekend in Kyle Field, and they were excited about playing Alabama in Baton Rouge. I can't remember the last time LSU fans were excited to play Alabama. It was always kind of the dread of playing Alabama, but I think it speaks to the bigger part of right now they feel like they have as good of a home field advantage in all of college football. We saw that against Ole Miss. We've seen them play extremely well. So it is just going to be an absolute war here in the SEC for the next 4 or 5 weeks to find out who goes to Atlanta and who goes to the college football playoff.
Kalen DeBoer came in with a good resume, Peter, but the Tennessee game was a mess. I mean, from start to finish. You know,
Yeah.
you had the bizarre sequence where, the guys were shooting jumpers in the back of the 4th and 1, and that didn't bother me as much as the fake injury thing.
Yeah.
What do you make of what all happened in that game, especially the fake injury?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that we always looked at Saban when he was on the sidelines going, no matter what happens, no matter what team you're on, if chaos is breaking out, you'd look at Coach Saban and go like, all right, how are we going to fix this, right? And he kind of handled his team a certain way and there was a certain discipline. So it's not only the fake jump shots or the fake injuries, it's the 4th and 22 play call when you have 3 timeouts. I mean, that was one of the most shocking things I'd ever seen because that was not Alabama football as we know it. And so for me, I see things are looking a lot different, but I take a step back and go, things have to look a lot different. Gone are 20 some odd players through the transfer portal into the NFL. Gone is the greatest coach in the history of the game. And I think Kalen DeBoer is a hell of a football coach. It's just he's going to need time to get his guys in and get his scheme in right now. So I like his transparency about it, but I've told Alabama fans this on my show, relax. Okay, you have to give these guys a little bit of time because I know that there's another school in this state that a lot of people try to run off, coaches over there in Auburn, and they've struggled to find good footing ever since that fan base was lost.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Peter, Auburn's in kind of a mess right now. I mean, they're
Mm.
competitive, but they can't get to the finish line. What's the future for Hugh Freeze?
Yeah, the future is you got to win football games. I mean, I think Hugh knows that as well too, and I think Hugh is the first person to understand that the way he handled it earlier in the season of talking about, well, you guys know what was left here in the cupboard. Nobody wants an excuse. I mean, we all don't make 2 commas in our annual salary. That's for you to figure out. We all know what the recruiting situation was prior to him there, but guess what? There are other teams that are finding success right from the jump, and it's not as if they're not competitive. They just haven't had a chance to break through. So this is arguably going to have to be Hugh's best coaching job, not beating Alabama, 2 times when he was over at Ole Miss, but really making sure that that team stays intact and you can build on the recruits that Hugh Freeze, I know, can get down to Auburn and make them a darn good football team.
You were in Mountain Brook for SEC basketball media days, and what struck me about that is that more conversation about Alabama and Auburn than Kentucky, and I don't think that's ever happened.
I mean, listen, I told Bruce Pearl when he was on set with me, I go, the state of Alabama is the state of college basketball right now. You know, between him and what he's done, and you look at Nate Oates arguably being the best team in the country, them making the Final Four, Andy Kennedy and the success that he's had. You know, they're at UAB, and it's been a fun team to watch. So right now, college basketball doesn't reside in North Carolina, doesn't reside in Indiana or Ohio or anywhere else. It is the state of Alabama, which I love, because I remember when we first launched the SEC network, there was such a downshift in attention from football season to basketball season. You see empty stadiums, the crowds weren't there. It was kind of just boring basketball. And now we've got more teams ranked in the top 25 in basketball than we do in football. I think that's a pretty strong way to say it just means more of all of the sports here in this conference.
That's a really cool thing. Hey, Peter, thanks, man. Have a great day.
Got it. Thank you.